Have you ever felt unseen? As if your efforts and intentions were like seeds scattered along the path, rocky ground, or among thorns, never taking root or bearing fruit? In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus tells a parable that speaks to these feelings, illustrating the various ways people respond to God's word. This parable, known as the parable of the sower, invites us to examine the condition of our hearts and consider how receptive we are to spiritual growth. Listen, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 160 or 30 times what was sown. Matthew 13:3-8. Now let me ask you, what type of soil represents your heart when it comes to receiving God's word? Are you like the path, the rocky ground, or among thorns? Or perhaps you resemble the good soil. In the parable, the path represents those with hardened hearts. Just as a path is trodden upon repeatedly, making it difficult for seeds to penetrate, some people's hearts are closed off to spiritual truths because of skepticism, indifference, or preoccupation with worldly matters. The rocky ground signifies those who receive God's word with enthusiasm, but lack depth in their faith. When trials and tribulations come their way, their faith withers, just like plants with shallow roots. The thorny ground represents individuals whose hearts are overrun with worries, wealth, and worldly distractions. These concerns choke the growth of God's word in their lives. Finally, the good soil symbolizes those who receive God's word with an open heart and bear fruit, producing abundance. They hear, understand, and live out the teachings of Christ. Now ask yourself, what steps can I take to ensure that my heart remains fertile ground for God's word, allowing it to take root and flourish in my life? The parable of the sower invites us to reflect on the condition of our hearts and our receptivity to God's word. Are we like the path, the rocky ground, or among thorns, or do we resemble the good soil? As we ponder these questions, let us strive to cultivate hearts that are open, receptive, and eager to grow in faith, producing abundant fruit in our lives. This is the end of this episode. Follow for more content.